on the choice of a name. So, April 30th, 1969. Dear Tusa and Michael, this evening your mother and I have talked a little bit about the name that will be given to your child. If a child is a boy, the first name will be Tu Pacy. If a child is a girl, then she will be called Mai Pacyinz. We believe the child will be a boy because your mother said she had a strange dream last night. In the dream, she gave a kind of sword to Mrs. Tusa. A sword, according to your mother, is the announcement for the arrival of a boy. Therefore, we are sending in advance all our congratulations to you, my children. But don't forget that it is up to you to choose the first name you would like for your child. Pacy was the first name of Kaitong Pacy Lo, the ancestor who fathered Kaitong Nye Her Lo and Kaitong Blayo Lo. Kaitong Nye Her Lo fathered Zhongzhou Lo. Zhongzhou Lo fathered Pakao Lo, and Pakao Lo was the father of Maikao's mother. Lo Mai Blayo was one of Kaitong Blayo Lo's daughters and Tubi's mother. Tubi fathered Tusa, who married Maika. You both therefore share the same ancestor. To put it simply, Tusa married a little cousin of the 4th degree. My sincere affections. So it just gives you a sense of how people were choosing names back then. And my father was very traditional. So when he was expecting his child, he wrote his parents and said, "What name do you want to give a child?" Yeah. And as you saw, so they were predicting a boy, but it ended up being me, so that was not quite there. At any rate, this is an essay that I wrote for How Dare We Write. It's a book that was put together by Sherry Quanley, who was my first poetry teacher, actually at the Loft in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And it's supposed to be a book that helps different types of instructors to teach diversity in creative writing. So you have essays from different writers from different communities in the BIPOC world, basically, and it just gives different perspectives. It includes a piece of writing and then an exercise for students. So in my piece, I'm just going to read a part of it. All right. My grandfather created one of the first written versions of the Hmong language to use as a secret code during the period after World War II, when the Viet Minh were trying to invade Laos. The Hmong lived on the mountains between Vietnam and Laos. The Hmong could not help but be involved in Vietnamese Lao conflicts, which back then were Viet Minh versus French protectorate in Laos conflicts. As a prominent, young, educated, and trustworthy Hmong leader, my grandfather was always courted by the French as an ally who could mobilize Hmong villagers to help with territory security. As a minority group, the Hmong were often crushed and abused by the Viet Minh. Aligning with the French was a matter of ethnic survival. My grandfather's use of written Hmong messages helped the French baffle the Viet Minh and contributed to the French being able to stop the Viet Minh's expansion into Laos. But mostly through those alliances, my grandfather saved Hmong villages and Hmong lives, which was always his lifelong overarching goal. When my almost 22-year-old soon-to-be father chose his firstborn's name, he was studying in Bordeaux, France. He dutifully wrote his parents to ask for their advice. He faithfully gave me the name sent back for a girl child. Other foreign-born parents are concerned about how their children's names can be easily read by others or not mocked. In spelling his children's Hmong names, my father displayed superb respect for his father's version of a Hmong language, and superb disregard for what anyone else might think. I can imagine my father writing my name on my birth certificate with the same flourish that he used when he showed me how to sign my name. Obviously, he had been practicing my signature for when I would be old enough to need one. His father's Pa, P-A-C, instead of a now standard Hmong, P-A-J. His father's Yang, Y-I-N-Z, instead of a now standard Hmong, Y-E-E-B. My flower name blossomed on the page from his hand, guided by his father's spelling. Thus, I come from a line of traditional but creative men. Thanks to my forefathers, everyone who meets me stumbles upon my name and cries for help with how to pronounce it. Introducing myself to people often becomes a mini lecture on the origin of my name. It means sharing the history of a Hmong written language. Some letters only indicate tones and therefore don't translate into sounds. Once people know that, they can get over the extra letters that appear on the page or Zoom now and just hang on to the sounds. Some wonder if they can use a nickname for me, meaning a shortcut, meaning either of the halves of my name or something that might rescue them from remembering such a difficult name. A lot of people accommodate or even anticipate such requests with some easy and therefore generic nicknames. I always recall that there are thousands of Hmong women with a name Pa or Yang, and now Pacyinz is even quite popular. But so far there has only been one Pacyinz, P-A-C-Y-I-N-Z. I am pleased to continue the tradition of respecting what my father and my grandfather chose and created. My name is Pacyinz, P-A-C-Y-I-N-Z. There is no shortcut and no nickname for that. My name is a legacy, my forefathers' acts of resistance embedded into the spelling of my name. All right. And then this piece is a short story that creative nonfiction trying to imagine my father's life in Minnesota, and it was published in the Sample Almanac's anthology celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Sample Almanac as a publishing entity. Saved by the Fish Song, in memoriam for my father, Dr. Sahtu Lyfoung. The snowfall had buried the stairs like a snow cone. Peering from the window, he did not see the beauty of a powdery stuff, pristinely sparkling in the morning sun. He just sighed at the thought of a back-breaking task of shoveling. Outside, he stubbornly dug and lifted and tossed to the side, spade by spade, the crystals melting into heavy slush, the bane of his Minnesotan existence. Never in his former life had he dreamt he would be here, on the other side of the world, in one of the harshest winter climates. Sure, he was born in the mountains of Laos, cooler than the lush tropical plains, but nothing had prepared him for these brutal frostbites. Every year it just seemed more revolting. Why ever did he decide to come here? On days like these, he could not remember. While defying death more than a few times on icy roads, he prayed to his ancestors for safe travels. He slipped into his white doctor's coat as soon as he arrived at the hospital. Walking through the stark, colorless corridors did nothing to cheer him up. Twisting and turning within walls as cheerless as the winter scenery outside, he stopped at the meeting room door for a moment to gather his thoughts. Before he opened the door, he pasted a warm smile on his face. Inside, the group of older Hmong gentlemen steered from small talk and greeted him respectfully. Nyojong Namo Tusa. It wasn't just that he was a Hmong doctor, although that in itself leveled him up in their admiration. He also happened to be the son of their beloved leader from back when they were happy. Mostly he happened to be a down-to-earth guy who joked around and teased laughter out of them, making them forget their depression and their addictions. Their appreciation showed in their warm greetings. He felt himself defrosting among elders who reminded him of his father, except deeply scarred by war, refugee flight, and acculturation to inexplicable American ways. In these peer group sessions, using clinically proven treatment methods, they traveled between past and present, unpacked unspeakable memories, bantered in familiar traditional terms, and shared collective wisdom, stumbling over what could never be understood by anyone who had not experienced it. Over time, they had developed deep rapport. In this space, away from the squalor of the scattered public housing units, where they relied on refugee assistance, they unraveled their family ties. Every Hmong person is related to each other if you dig far enough. Reminisced over the past and felt less alone. With a thawing of their sense of isolation came lesser dependence on substance, the Western treatment manual would say. With the support of family and friends, the liver clears up, the Hmong people would say. Both result in good outcomes. Today's session seemed especially fuzzily sweet due to the relief from the freezing cold day outside. Suddenly, one of the elders' eyes twinkled brightly as some soft memory resurfaced. Naimo Tusa, do you want to hear your father's song? Startled, Naimo Tusa quickly responded, truly, you're not pulling my leg, Elder V. Oh no, I would never do that, Naimo Tusa. I really know your father's song. I was very lucky to be there when he sang it. I was really young, as was your father. It was back when he came to look for the fiancée his father chose for him. Really? How extraordinary. Please proceed, responded Naimo Tusa. Elder V's voice rose in that typical Hmong kutia, Hmong song poetry style, meandering among the mountains between over people's nations, patiently marching barren paths in shoeless steps, barely leaving a trace on the land, and floating like dreams in the cool air. Naimo Tusa's father also sang with a slower rhythm of a Hmong from Nong Head, which Elder V reproduced perfectly with the memory capacity of a trained Hmong song master. Note by note, a little fish boy swam up the river and saw that beautiful girl fish. He wiggled closer and closer, blowing funny bubbles and swirling in mesmerizing water patterns, telling her in every way, look at me, don't you want to swim with me? Together we could swim up and down any rock. Come with me, and we will be happy forever. Naimo Tusa's heart swelled with the memory of his father's voice, how as a young man he had wooed his fiancée, innocent as a fish in the river. Around him, the man's eyes softened with memories of their youths and their homelands. What a gift, what a gift. Thank you, Mr. V, for giving me my father's song, exclaimed Naimo Tusa, echoing the feeling in the room. And Naimo Tusa remembered why he came to Minnesota to rejoin his Hmong people, and how it is worth those icy Minnesotan winters. So, that is the end of my set. Thank you.